Have you ever noticed someone suddenly disappear from everyone's life? No calls, no texts, no explanations, just gone? Or maybe you've done it yourself. One day you're surrounded by people, and the next you've cut everyone off. It might look cold, dramatic, or even selfish from the outside, but psychologically it's rarely that simple. Because when someone cuts everyone off, it's not just a decision, it's a signal. A deep, emotional response to something happening beneath the surface. Let's explore what's really going on inside the mind of people who walk away from everyone. First, one of the most common reasons is emotional overwhelm. Some people don't gradually distance themselves, they disconnect completely. Why? Because their brain doesn't see relationships as something to adjust. It sees them as something to escape when they become too heavy. Imagine constantly feeling drained, misunderstood, or mentally exhausted around others. For some individuals, especially those who are highly sensitive, social interactions can feel like pressure instead of comfort. Cutting everyone off becomes a survival mechanism. It's not about hating people, it's about protecting their energy. Another powerful factor is past emotional trauma. People who have been hurt deeply, betrayed, abandoned, or manipulated often develop an all-or-nothing mindset in relationships. Instead of risking pain again, they choose total distance. Their thinking becomes, if I don't let anyone in, no one can hurt me. This is especially common in people with attachment wounds. If someone grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, conditional, or painful, they may struggle to trust others as adults. So instead of building connections, they tear them down before they can be broken. Then there's the need for control. Life can feel chaotic, unpredictable, and messy, but cutting people off is something you can control instantly. It gives a sense of power. When everything feels out of control, removing people from your life can feel like taking your power back. It's a way of saying, I decide who stays and who goes. But here's the catch. This control often comes at the cost of loneliness. Another psychological layer is identity transformation. Sometimes people cut everyone off because they are changing. They're growing, evolving, or trying to become a different version of themselves. And in that process, they start to feel disconnected from their current circle. Maybe their values have shifted. Maybe they no longer relate to the same conversations, habits, or lifestyles. Instead of slowly redefining relationships, they choose a clean break. It's not always personal, it's often about alignment. But not everyone understands this, which can make them appear distant or even arrogant. Now let's talk about emotional burnout. There are people who are always the giver in relationships, the ones who listen, support, help, and show up for everyone else. But over time, this constant giving can lead to deep exhaustion. And when they finally reach their limit, they don't just take a small break, they disappear. Because for them, it's not just about needing rest. It's about needing a complete reset. In psychology, this can be linked to compassion fatigue or emotional depletion. When you give too much without receiving enough, your mind eventually forces you to withdraw. Another important reason is avoidance coping. Some people don't know how to deal with conflict, difficult emotions, or uncomfortable conversations. Instead of facing issues, they escape them entirely. Cutting people off becomes an easier option than explaining feelings, setting boundaries, or having tough discussions. It's not that they don't care, it's that they don't know how to process or express what they feel. So silence becomes their language. Interestingly, this behavior can also be tied to perfectionism. Some individuals have extremely high expectations for relationships. The moment someone disappoints them, they don't try to fix things. They eliminate the connection. It's a rigid mindset. If it's not perfect, it's not worth it. This can lead to a cycle of constantly cutting people off and never building long-term, stable relationships. Then there's something deeper, fear of vulnerability. Real connection requires openness. It requires being seen, understood, and sometimes even judged. For some people, that level of exposure feels unsafe. So instead of risking vulnerability, they choose isolation. It's a paradox. They crave connection but fear it at the same time. And cutting people off becomes a way to avoid that inner conflict. But here's something most people don't talk about. Sometimes cutting everyone off is actually a healthy decision. Not every relationship deserves to be maintained. If someone is surrounded by toxic, manipulative, or negative individuals, distancing themselves can be an act of self-respect. In these cases, cutting people off isn't avoidance, it's growth. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's recognizing that not everyone deserves access to you. However, the key difference lies in intention. Are you cutting people off to protect your mental health or to avoid dealing with it? That question changes everything. Because when this behavior becomes a pattern, cutting off everyone repeatedly, it can lead to long-term consequences. Loneliness, emotional isolation, difficulty forming meaningful connections. Over time, the brain can get used to solitude in an unhealthy way, making it even harder to reconnect with others. And this is where awareness becomes important. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means something inside you needs attention. Maybe it's unhealed pain, maybe it's burnout, maybe it's fear. But instead of shutting the world out completely, the goal should be balance. Learning to set boundaries instead of burning bridges. Learning to communicate instead of disappearing. Learning to take space without completely disconnecting. Because at the end of the day, humans are wired for connection. No matter how independent or self-sufficient we become, we still need meaningful relationships. And the strongest people aren't the ones who cut everyone off. They're the ones who learn who to keep, who to let go of, and how to do both in a healthy way. So if you've ever felt the urge to disappear from everyone, ask yourself this: are you running away or are you protecting your peace? Because understanding that difference might just change the way you see yourself and your relationships forever. And if this made you think differently about your own behavior or someone else's, then you're already one step closer to understanding the human mind a little better. Before you leave, here's something interesting. If this video made you think even a little differently, that's your brain craving more insight. So go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel is all about understanding the hidden psychology behind human behavior. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think, or suggest a topic. Your curiosity might shape the next video. And share this with someone who loves understanding people, or maybe someone who needs to understand themselves a little better. Now click on the next video on your screen. Your mind will thank you for it.